that tries to hold the balance of what has been described by a German scholar as Barth's pendulum. So Roland Barthes wrote in 1957 Les Mythologies, and in the last part he argues that in order to get a grasp on reality, we are always trapped, because either we penetrate the object and grasp it and then we destroy it, or we take a step back and we understand it, but that needs distance, and then we mystify it again. And materiality is typically this approaching the object, taking it apart, understanding how its materiality is constructed, and at the same time understanding its cultural and historical and theoretical implications, which is in a way impossible. So the pendulum moves, and materiality is for me that, well, in the center of the movement of the pendulum, where we try to balance what's going on. Materiality also has a very different meaning in law. There it means what is material, what matters in terms of evidence. And I think that's also a very interesting term, because in saying what is material, what matters, we also define what we choose to approach in the materials of art. So those two things are important for me when we think about materiality. That's a very important and almost paradoxical phenomenon, because art history is the history of materials and techniques. So why have we thrown them out of our field? And that is because in the 19th century, when the sciences and the humanities formed as disciplines, art history had to establish itself within the realm of philosophy. And so it had to, in order to become something, say, distance itself quite distinctly from its material origins. The artist studio, the museum, the archaeological dig, where things smell and where you have to touch things and where you get your hands dirty, that was not identifiable with becoming a humanities discipline. So what we're seeing now is really, through the material turn, we also coming to terms with our own history. It was really amazing to see how much was addressed. But what I missed was the historiography of our own field in relation to the study of materials and materiality. So what I just described, that we look back into our own history and try to understand where have we talked about materials before, and then what you would see is a genealogy that would lead us through Roland Barthes, but also Henri Faucillon, Georges Gubler, who was a pupil of Faucillon, back to Semper, back to Vasari and the introduction to the Vitae, which is about materials and techniques, and all the way to Pliny, but also to recipe books all over the world, which we still need to uncover and write back into our own history. So that was one thing I missed, looking into the historiography of studying materials and art history. And the other, which I saw popping up here and there, was an actual engagement with materials. So sessions where materials were a real part, where artists brought in actual things, or conservators. There was a session on olfactory meaning yesterday, which I heard was fully booked because people got something to actually hold and smell. And I think if there would ever be another matter and materiality CIHA, I would advise to make more room for that.